Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started. The Living Artist is supported by Filling the Well, a new podcast from Arts Midwest created to nourish, provoke, and inspire artists and art leaders. In this 5-part series, hear from the creative changemakers as they share their takes on how to shift power dynamics, avoid burnout, build authentic community, share resources, and advocate for support. With each episode, you'll find links to explore these ideas further and act in your community. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or check out artsmidwest.org/fillingthewell.
Hello.
Hey.
Phil has a new voice.
I'm speaking to Felonious. I love that. That's great.
No, it's me.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
So I look up here.
If you want the video. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't think it's just audio, right?
It's audio, yeah. I record this. Sometimes I splice a couple of things together on YouTube. How you doing, Phil? Can you hear me?
Hey, doing well, man. How are you?
Nice. Thanks for setting all this up.
Oh, of course. Here, baby, just so that his voice doesn't come up in the mic.
Putting me to shame with my studio.
Woohoo.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, you can turn him up right there.
Okay.
That's awesome. Phil, can I have you come over here and do some stuff for me too?
Oh, he can't hear. He said, can he have you? He said, can he have you at his house to fix his stuff?
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally. Not a problem.
Hilarious. How are you?
Have a good podcast, guys.
All right. We're going to leave this in because it's fun.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You've been running around today?
Oh my God. Yeah. I literally just ran through the door.
Oh no. Okay. Well, if you need some time to breathe, it's fine. There you go. Get zen.
We're good.
Okay. Awesome. That's actually probably better because sometimes when you have too much time to think about an interview or something, it can go awry or you can get anxious. I know I do at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an introvert. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to talk to a person.
Well, at least it's me. We know each other.
Yeah.
But I'm going to definitely get you to talk a little bit. So I wanted to start by just saying that we're going, obviously. I wanted to start by saying that I saw you at No Man's Land recently, which is an all-women's or female identifying show at ShockBoxx, and you helped curate it and juried it. So how was that experience for you?
It was really good and really humbling in a lot of aspects. Just first of all, just being asked to help plan and get the show together was really awesome because it kind of just reiterated how much I guess kind of respect that Mike and his community has to even ask me to be a part of this.
Oh yeah.
So that was really nice. And then just seeing, it's different than going to a gallery and seeing the art that's selected, but to be a part of the art that's being selected is a totally different experience.
Definitely.
And it kind of just makes you look at your own work and how you can grow as an artist or what, I guess, for lack of a better word, what you're missing. There's just so much out there. So I don't know. It's just it was a really cool experience. A lot of powerful work.
Yeah, definitely. It was
really hard.
Sorry, good.
Oh, it was like kind of hard to pick which ones would be in the show just because there was so many, so many.
Yeah, I know. And the show, I mean, it came together great. I was at the
Mhm.
Zoom opening and at the in-person opening, but there was just like a really good energy at the show. I mean, I think it also helped that it was like the first show without masks, so everybody was like really kind of excited. But the work was amazing, and I know what you're saying. You almost go in there with like a sense of pride, right? Like you, not
Yeah.
only is it just a show you're taking part of, but like you helped put this thing together, which is cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you and all the other ladies, I don't know if I can remember them off the top of my head. Amy, Christina, Drika,
Hmm.
who am I missing?
I I honestly don't know.
There were so many.
All of us. I
All
just
the
see us as
ShockBoxx
one.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you did a great job. First, we're gonna get it out of the way right up the top.
Hmm.
Muka's got a solo show coming
I
up.
do.
It's called Sugar Coated, which is a great title, and it's April 2nd at ShockBoxx.
Yes.
Are you going to be? So you're going to be doing like a Zoom opening and also like a physical opening?
I need to talk to Mike about that. I would like to do a Zoom opening just because I feel like it gets the excitement flowing, and then like people come in and kind of like look at your art differently because they know
Yeah.
the story behind it. But there's an aspect to my show that I would like for people to figure out on their own, and I don't know if having a Zoom opening prior to will spoil that. So
Oh, okay. That might
I'm
conflict
not
with
sure.
the.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a little, yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I'm excited for it, but I wanted to talk to you because you've been very open about, it's not always easy, right? It's kind of a
Yeah.
struggle. Like, so I think a lot of people think, oh, you got a solo show. It's just great. You just throw all your work together and put it up on the wall. Everybody comes and looks at it, but it's not always that easy. And you're doing all new work for the show, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And tell us a little bit about it. I mean, tell us about the struggles. I know a lot of other artists out there will find it cathartic.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a humbling experience. I think I severely underestimated what it means to have a solo show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work, not just like physically, like with your hand on a paintbrush, but it's a lot of work altogether. It's so exhausting. Thinking of concepts, thinking of how to portray what you really want to say, and just there's so much energy that goes into it too. Because I feel like a lot of people really, I feel, at least me, like I can feel when a painting was just painted versus when an artist really put their heart and soul into it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm really terrified that that's gonna happen. Like I'm just like I have to go all in on every single piece, and so I think I'm just like putting so much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun, like learning how this whole process flows and how I'm growing as an artist in this process, but definitely very stressful. A lot of crying, a lot of breaks, a lot of talking with other artists. Talking with Mike a lot, just like random frantic texts.
Yeah.
I'm like so glad he's a psychologist because
that helps, right?
Yeah.
A lot of throwing things at Phil,
Yep. A lot of throwing, a lot of tantrums, lots of impromptu dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really tough, but I think it's a labor of love at the end, I think it's really going to show in the end. Yeah. And I'm just trying to put my heart into it because I just keep saying like, well, let's just say like the day that the show opens and I still have nothing completed, like I feel just as long as there was emotion and like a tremendous effort into whatever is there, like it'll matter and I'll be proud of that,
Definitely. Well, that's cool. It's funny, like hearing you talk about it. It's one of those things where it's a delicate balance between kind of not getting in your own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then putting everything you have into it, because it's like sometimes we want to put so much of ourselves and whatever our experiences into the work, and if you get like too in your head about it, sometimes you can like block yourself. Did you find that happening? Yeah, and
that's why I've been kind of just in talking about a lot of artists. Like I was talking to Theodosia about it, Theodosia Marchand, if you guys don't know who that is. She's
Oh, yeah.
another awesome ShockBoxx artist. Just talking to her about like the process, because she's done her solo show and things before. But just like it's awesome. Like it's just a whole experience. Like people really band together, at least the ShockBoxx people, and kind of like lift you up and like telling you how to navigate it. So just like those conversations with you guys have really helped.
Good.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's so important to have a community because sometimes you can just feel like I've done shows where it's just been like completely alone. And you're just like, I don't know if people are going to show up to this at all. Like, at least a good portion of like the ShockBoxx crew is going to show up. Mike's got a good community down there. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm excited for it. So keep us posted. What do you got now? It's 3 weeks?
I think I have like 3 weeks. Yeah. And I'm like 5% finished. So
you're on pace.
Yeah. I for ShockBoxx standards, I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So. Well, it's funny too. It's like I used to do theater and doing art, doing so many different shows. It's funny because it always just comes together because it has to. It comes together at the last minute. Like you might have like a wet painting that you're hanging, but it'll all come together and it's going to be great. So we got that out of the way. That's the first thing.
Woo.
Woo. But everybody check out Sugar Coated April 2nd at ShockBoxx. So MUKA is a nickname, correct? Just to get this out of the way too. We both kind of have like a branded name that we use for our stuff. And this was a nickname that was given to you by your parents, I guess. Well, sort of. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so MUKA was, when I was a baby, my parents used to call me muñeca, which means little doll in Spanish. And I have a brother who's older. He's a year and 10 months older than me. He couldn't say muñeca, obviously, he was a baby. And so what would come out was MUKA.
Nice.
And so that's what they started calling me, was like MUKA. And when I decided to like go full time into art, there's a lot of different reasons, but one of the main reasons that I wanted to go under, I don't know, what's this name? Like, what's the fake name called? Like like
a persona or
like a pen name or something.
Oh yeah, pen name or
I wanted like a pen name for it because I had a lot of trauma in my past, and there was like one person in specific that I was like trying to not get found by. And so I was just like really insecure about like this new venture and kind of just traumatized from my past. And so I was like, I need to not put my actual name on this because I don't want it to be found or ridiculed, or like, I want nothing to do with that. And so I was trying to think of like, what could I could do my initials, but then like, what if I get married and then that changes? And so I was trying to think of something permanent, but that also meant something. And so I just remembered the name MUKA, and I was like, well, that's it. Like it's meaningful and it sounds like my real name a little bit. My real name's Margarita. So yeah.
Well, and also it's great because I read something that you said, and you were kind of alluding to this, but it's almost like a callback to the younger artist inside too.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love that.
Yeah. I wanted to honor like my family in a little way too, because I mean, none of this would be possible without them.
That's right. For sure. So I know you're originally from Houston, and I had an ex-girlfriend who lived in Sugarland.
Oh, okay.
You know Sugarland?
Yeah. It's a little suburb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like the only time I've ever been there. Seemed like a cool town. I think we should just go into your origin story. If you've listened to the podcast, we always talk about that. So you can start as early as you want and just take as long as you want.
Okay. So, I'm from Houston, born and raised there. I moved out of my parents, like my childhood home, when I moved to LA.
Oh, wow.
Like 3 years ago. So I've only done one big move, and that's it.
Oh, that's nice.
But I had a great childhood. It was just my mom, my dad, and my brother. I grew up like pretty conservative just because like my parents are from Mexico. They're both immigrants, and they're very Catholic in Mexico.
Yes.
And so we were raised like in that kind of Mexican Catholic household. And my dad came over here when he was like 12 or something like that. So I guess, was kind of raised American.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's like a different dynamic for like those people that where they're like immigrants, but they're kind of like younger immigrants.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to explain it, but like it was just a weird dynamic. Like we grew up in like a Mexican Catholic household, but like as Americans. Like it was really, it's a weird dynamic. So overall just very traditional and very, very sheltered.
Did you had like the Catholic bubble, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I went to Catholic school. I I was an altar server, went to church every Sunday. Yeah, I did all that.
I had something similar, but I wasn't Catholic. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it's just a very conservative family. Yeah, and so when I finally graduated from college, I was 20, I think I was like 26, 27. That was like my ticket out of the house. So like the main reason, obviously I went to get an education, but the main reason I went and finished college was to give my mom my freedom ticket. And so
you mean like they wanted you to get that done? Like that was your kind of rite of passage.
That was like their last job. Like once I did that, they were like, you can do whatever you want. And so it took me 7 years, but I did it, got my degree in communications, and I gave my mom the diploma. It's still at my mom's house. And
you're like, here you go, Mom. Peace.
Yep. Basically. Yeah. And I like immediately started looking for jobs here in LA because I knew I wanted to move. I wanted to like do something in PR, be a publicist or something. And so I moved and then I got a job. Everything was great. But then it like quickly just kind of like disintegrated. Like I was
you got a job at like a PR firm?
I got a job. I started as a personal assistant to this like high profile person.
You might know her as Kim Kardashian.
Yep.
Sorry, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started there, and then it quickly just evolved, like doing different things for them. So it was like I was doing like her PR and her social media and all the things, but it just like it wasn't hitting. Like I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I want to grow in this field. And so I was with Phil already by that time, my husband.
Did you meet him here?
I met him before I moved here, just through like mutual friends. And he was also kind of the reason I moved here. Not the main reason, but like obviously like a perk. And so I was working that job, and I just like got really depressed because it just like, it wasn't hitting the way that I thought it would. And so like Phil and I talked about it, and he was like, look, like if you're going to like quit, like you need to find your passion. Like what's your passion? And so I still remember like I was super, super depressed in like a depressive season. And there was like a art documentary on Netflix. I forgot what it was, but he wanted to watch it, and I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want anything to do with art, because I was like, it's just going to remind me that like, I'm not doing what I want to do. Like I'm going to see these people on the documentary and I'm going to get jealous. And then I'm just going to like go into a hole and cry. So he made me watch it anyway. But then right after it finished, he drove me to Blick and was like, you need get whatever you want. Like you're going to get started. Yeah. And so I got a bunch of canvases, and I got a bunch of paint, like the cheapest paint that they had, the cheapest starter brush pack that's like $5.99. I only bought black and white paint too. Like that's how I started.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so we got home. He made me like a little corner at the house with like a cheap little like $12 Amazon easel.
Yeah, the little flimsy easel.
Yeah, I have a photo of my little startup like studio on my Instagram.
Oh, I love it.
It's so funny. Yeah, and I just like started painting, and then finally like I was like, this sucks. Like I was painting with just black and white just because I was like oh, I need to master. I was making all these excuses. Like, I need to master black and white before I can get into color. And I need to master the shading and saying all these things to myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucked. Like, it's so embarrassing. Like, all the stuff that I was trying to make, or like trying to make myself fit into.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and finally like bought like some pink paint, because I was like, I need pink paint. So I went and bought some pink paint, and I went and bought the most neon fluorescent spray paint that I could find, which was like this super fluorescent yellow. And I came home and I painted like a naked girl, like the body of a naked girl. And I like spray painted like a smiley face over her head.
I've seen it.
Yeah. That's like, that was like my first like painting. And I was like, oh shit, like this actually looks pretty good. And then Phil came home for work, and I showed it to him, and he was like, what the fuck? Like, that's awesome. And so since that moment, I was like, you know what? I think I can actually do this.
Well, and the piece has something to say too.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It just like, it all came together. Like, it had my own voice in it. Cause like my black and white stuff was so like trying to be derivative off of other people's stuff, or it was just like shitty abstract. Like, it had no composition or anything to it. This like, just like, it said me like in a way that I had never seen. Like, I've done art all my life, but this just felt like something. And so like that night I started like basically stalking all these galleries, trying to see like who has art like mine. And I found ShockBoxx, and that was like right around the time I think they were doing the Love Hurts show.
Yep.
I still have it saved. I still have it saved on my like Instagram posts. And I did
a little Instagram stalking of you today. I went back and saw all that stuff. Yep.
Oh, I gotta love a good Instagram stalk.
Gotta get one out there sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing you on one of those first shows. I don't know if that was the first one you spoke at, but I remember seeing your little, I think was that the little corner you're talking about where you had your setup?
No, this is like, nobody knows this. So like,
We're getting the real deal.
Okay, so yeah, I started stalking ShockBoxx. It wasn't that show that I applied to, but that's where I like ShockBoxx got on my radar. I applied to the pandemic show. Don't touch your face? Don't
touch your face.
Yeah, that's the one that I applied to and got into, and that's how I started with ShockBoxx. But the background, like my little studio that was in my background on that first show, it was like my first show and all that.
Yeah,
I like went shopping for like a week and like converted our third bedroom into my studio. So I literally like painted that the piece that got into the show, I painted in that little shitty corner of our house, like on the floor with like the cat like walking all over it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like in a gallery. Like I have to fit the part. So I like went and bought my little outfit and like did my hair, and I like turned the whole bedroom into my studio, hung all the art, and like it was totally staged. Like that was
Fake it till you make it, baby. Right?
Yeah, that was not my studio at all. But I mean, it turned into my studio after that, because I was like, well, I'm not moving out now. Like
you like manifested it. It was like, this is going to be what's happening. And you got in with a gallery. It's like everything you were going for happened.
Yeah, it just happened. And ever since that show, it just like snowballed into like this thing. I don't know. It's like what it is now. It's a whole brand and a whole lifestyle and a whole career. It's just so weird.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love how you hit the ground running, and it's like you just plugged in right away. You know what you wanted, you figured out what you wanted, and you went and you got it. And there was a little bit of like a fake it till you make it, but that's what we all do. And as far as like those little studio spaces, some of my best paintings have been painted in a corner of a room, or like my studio when I couldn't afford to barely eat. And I had to break down my studio, my kitchen every day. Some of my best stuff comes from there. So it doesn't matter where you paint, you know what I mean? But I mean, obviously once you start painting a lot, you need more space. It becomes practical, but I love hearing those origin stories. Oh, sorry, but your dog is chewing.
Is she making noise?
Yeah, I can hear the squeaky toy.
Oh God!
And the growling. I mean, it's cute.
Phil, can you come get Stormy? Yeah.
Stormy. I love it. Stormy, we love you, but
You gotta go, girl.
we got to hear MUKA. Thanks again, Phil. Well, so sorry, were you done with the origin story?
Yeah, there's some little bits and pieces there, but I guess they'll come out when they come out, but that's like the basis of it.
I love it. Well, and the cool thing about the whole PR thing, I almost see a little bit of that sensibility in your art. Like you kind of have a little bit of like a pop culture aesthetic to your pieces, like some of the Gucci stuff, the Teddy stuff. Like I love that. Does that come from your like PR days at all?
It actually it comes from my interests. Like a lot of, I feel like, I don't know what the word is. I guess the best way I can say it is I feel rude because like people have all these interests and like people know about like art and I don't know, like history and all these things. I don't know anything about anything, but I do know, like I know what the Kardashians were wearing last night. I know like what Ariana Grande, like how she got her start. I know like pop culture, and I don't know, but some people might like knock me for it, but like that's like I just love pop culture and like I don't know, I guess like the society. I love society. I love people watching. I love like hearing people's stories. I love I guess I'm you could call me like I don't know, maybe like an anthropologist. Like I just love like culture and people.
Like a cultural anthropologist.
Anthropologist, modern day cultural anthropologist.
I love it. Well, no, and it's cool because I mean, that is something like that is a passion and it shows in your work and it's part of your style. And I think that's part of the reason why your work has like struck a chord with people and is selling because you kind of have your finger on the pulse, but it's also it's not just like, oh, I'm painting a Gucci bag. You're painting a Gucci bag with some attitude. You know what I mean? You've got that style. Like you say, you call your work a little bit snarky, which I would say, that resonates with me. There's that element to it that takes it a little step further, which is accessible to not only the people who like Gucci, but also the people who kind of like, fuck Gucci. You know what I mean? So it kind of works for all of that, which I love.
Yeah. And like a big part of my art too, I think like we like messaged about this is like, a lot of it comes from me not feeling heard a lot of the time. And so my art is like so loud and like a lot of the times it says what I'm thinking, but it's like rude. It's too rude to say, or I'm too intimidated to like express my opinion about it. Which I think that's why people relate to it. Yeah. It's because like we're all thinking it, but no one's going to say it. And so like that's where Teddy Talks came from, that whole series I did, because I was like, nobody's going to say these things, but like Teddy will say it.
Teddy can say it. And he's cute enough to say it.
He's cute and no one's going to like put him in jail for it or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that. There's a little bit of a connection. I think you saw some of my old Teddy stuff, not Teddy stuff, but I called it like the little bear. Cause I gave my wife this little bear when we first started dating many years ago. And it became a little bit of an alter ego for me. Like I painted this thing called like the little bear who lost his way. And it was like a bear with like a wine bottle and like little wine stains coming down the face. And I was like, but it was me, I was like, that's who I am. I'm like, at this point in my life, I was like a little bit of a drunkard and I was portraying that. And then it went on, I did as like a series of 9, but yours is completely different than that. But I could completely understand where you're coming from because it's almost like a little bit of an alter ego for you as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an alter ego. Like I think the whole MUKA brand is also an alter ego. Like just like looking at my MUKA Instagram and my personal Instagram, like Margarita and MUKA are two completely different people.
Definitely.
And it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just, I'm able to live these two lives. It's almost like I don't know. It's just, I feel like I'm two different people. And it's like, it's really cool because like, it's such a blessing to be able to like live out these different parts of myself. And I think like MUKA is definitely like Margarita's very introverted and like reserved and polite and like, the Catholic, like Mexican traditional person. But MUKA is definitely like the little girl that couldn't say fuck.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Well, you've given yourself a platform to express yourself completely. And that's great. It's kind of like what all the old comedians did, they would, all the stand-ups, they would kind of develop a persona that allowed them to go out on stage and kind of be larger than life. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit with what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, MUKA is also a fellow program artist. I wanted to talk to you about another program artist that you share a studio with, Christina, Amrta. So how did that come about? How did you decide to share a studio? How's that going? Walk us through like a day in the life of the studio. Do you guys paint together, or do you get like timeshare?
These are all great questions. So it started out, I can't pinpoint how it started, but at some point we were just like both saying that we like wanted a studio space. And then Phil and I had to move. We were like in a 3-bedroom house, and I had like the 3rd bedroom, and I had like a backyard and all this space to spray paint and do all this stuff.
Oh,
and
nice.
we ended up moving to downtown LA. And so we're like in a high rise, like there's nowhere to paint. I can't spray paint in the house because it'll get into the hallway and stuff.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I really seriously started looking for a studio. And I remembered like Christina saying that she also was looking. And so I found this one place. I don't know. Is it smart to say where my studio is?
You could just say the area, the general area.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a studio space in the arts district, and it was a little bit out of my price range. But I was like, I think Christina and I can make this work.
Yes.
So I messaged her. We went to go see it. And like we were it's still like a kind of a spend, like LA, like real estate and stuff. So it was definitely going to be an adjustment for us, but we were just like, we can't like pass it up. Like this is it. And so
it can like take you to the next level too.
Yeah. We signed the lease, and we were just like, this is our year. Like we're going to be art bad bitches. Like we're going to get this space, and we're going to work and work and work. And we're going to sell art. And so, we did it. And like, it was really weird because like for the first like few months that we started, that we rented, our art was flying off the shelves. Like every week, like we would get texts like from Mike, like, oh, you guys sold. And like, it just really kind of reiterated like that we were on the right path. So it's, but now it's like, we're still there. It's awesome. We've run into each other. We don't have like set schedules. We kind of just go when we feel like it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, Christina and I just kind of bond, like we're just bonded at the soul for I don't know where that happened. We're from the same planet or something.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like get each other, and like, I guess that works for our schedule too. 'Cause like when I'm there, she's not, when she's there, I'm not, it just happens.
That's cool. I don't know why I envision you both in there, just like throwing paint at the canvas, but that's cool. I mean, it's nice also to have a little bit of that alone time to be able to create.
Yeah. And like, we definitely, I think we're like conscious of each other too. Like, I think like if I see her, like that she's at the studio, like if she's posting Instagrams and things, like I try like not to go, just because I know what it's like to be in a flow.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't want to disturb that. And I think it's the same for her. So
that's why I've always kind of shied away from those. But I also kind of get jealous sometimes because I'm like, it's nice to have a little bit of a community. Where you are, is it one of those things where you bump into other artists quite a bit? Do people like show up to your studio, knock on the door, or is it kind of everybody keeps to themselves?
Everyone kind of keeps to themselves, but they do have like open art nights and stuff. So there is like a sense of community, but it's a pretty chill spot.
That's cool.
And there's actually like this pretty big name artist. I don't want to name them because I don't want people to find out where we are, but that came out of that studio like just like a month before we moved in. That person moved out. And so it was just like really cool. Like, oh, we really are on the right path. Like we're right there.
There's a good energy there. Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I know, I heard you talking to Debbie Corbell's been an old friend of mine. We've been like, we were with the same agent for a while, and she used to come into my work where I worked, and we've known each other for a long time. But did you ever get a chance to hook her up with a space?
Well, I gave her all the information. So it would be cool if she did end up at that space. They have a lot of like studios. There are different sizes. So it would be really cool to have a familiar face, another familiar face. Yeah.
she's great. And it's one of those, that's like a nightmare to have your studio space so established. And she has like big, heavy work.
Yeah.
And then just be like, oh, all right. They like lost their lease or whatever, or
Oh God.
sold it and they're like, you're out. Everybody's out. I also had another friend who was in the Tokyo Art Complex, the one that caught on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she lost all of her work, her entire catalog of work.
Yeah,
It's a nightmare.
I know we might be talking about the same person, but I do also know a person that's kind of in our community that lost all her stuff. So that might be the same person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's the nightmare. So
yeah.
you got married recently. I wanted to say congratulations about that.
Thank you.
So how was that? You did that during COVID, right?
Yeah, we had to like cancel, reschedule, replan, redo. So like it was just kind of a nightmare to try to do the whole wedding, like reception and all that stuff. So it wasn't like the day that we were envisioning, but it definitely was like the day that we needed.
Yes.
So it went from like 150 plus people to only 25.
Oh, that's nice though.
Yeah, at a restaurant in Houston. And then like to get our marriage license, like you're supposed to go into the court, like, I don't know, a week before you get married. Mm-hmm. So like we got married on Zoom because the courthouses were closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have like a photo of us like officially getting married on the couch, like at our house.
Oh my
Zoom.
God. I didn't realize they could do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they had to because it was like right in the middle of COVID. So yeah.
One of the only, couple things that were good about COVID was like, I didn't have to go into the DMV to get my license. You know what I mean? They just were like, all right, we'll just send it to you. So, well, I'm sure you probably wanted, I don't know if you wanted to have like the big wedding or whatever, but that's nice. That's convenient to just be able to do it from your couch.
Yeah. Well, we did end up having like our wedding day because that was just like the legal getting married. Yeah. But we did have like our wedding day at church, and then we had like a dinner with 25 people. But yeah, it was a heartbreak. Like we definitely grieved like what our expectations were.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were bigger problems in the world, so we just felt really blessed that we both made it and our families made it safely. So
well, and sometimes it's nice to have intimate, like my wife and I did like a little DIY destination wedding in Idaho, and we had like 30 people there, and it was beautiful. You
get to talk to everyone.
Yes, it was great. So
it ended up good.
That's good. Well, congratulations on that. It's kind of been a big time for you.
Yeah, I like got a new career, got married, got a dog, like everything.
Solo show.
I know.
Yeah. What's next for MUKA? Gucci sponsorship? Maybe?
I would, I don't know how to do that, but I would love like a collaboration. Like,
hell yeah.
Can I splatter some paint on a Louis bag or something?
Yes. I think you can do it. I mean, you just got to kind of put it out there. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you can get it out to enough people, somebody will see it. I think you would be great. I think it would be like kind of a cool, irreverent way to get out the Gucci brand or something like that. Maybe it's not Gucci. Yeah. My wife and I, we always do this little thing from this show. We always do this Gucci thing. I don't know if that's where that comes from. It's like the little heart hands. But so I love that you're accepting like the process and not like pushing yourself right now. Because you were talking about how you have accepted the wave, like riding the wave of, oh, I used to be so, I get down on myself for not be able to create every day or whatever. But now you're saying you have these little incubation periods, right? Mm-hmm. And then you come and you spill it all out, get it out there, sell, and then you go back into a state of, I guess you said a state of depression. Let's talk about all that. But that's really cool that you embrace that, because I'm always talking about on the show, whatever, sometimes not waiting for the muse and just getting out there and doing it. But there also is the flip side. There is that side of like taking time for yourself and taking time to process things and not push yourself. So I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was actually listening to your podcast with Sarah Svetlana, and she like hit the nail on the head when she was like saying that she like embraced these periods as like kind of research, like taking these moments and like learning like what is the universe trying to teach me in these moments. Like obviously I'm not meant to paint right now. Yeah. I'm learning something to better myself, which is only going to better my art and my outcome and my passions. For sure. So yeah, at first I used to really like beat myself up about it. I was like, oh my God, I'm like a one-hit wonder. Like I sold all these pieces. I think my first year I sold like, I don't know, something like 30 paintings or something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
And it started like dying down because I wasn't like putting out new work. And like, I'm sure all artists know, like there's an algorithm to selling your work online. Yeah. You have to stay on top of the algorithm and stay relevant.
I know it very well.
Yeah. So I wasn't putting out any new work. So I wasn't getting put in front of anyone. So my sales slowed down, and I wasn't feeling creative. And I got like, I'm just like a depressive person. Like I've always had depression, anxiety. And so I just got like into this really depressive season. And yeah, just beat myself up about it. And finally, like, I just kind of learned like, I think this is just how I create. Like I tried to force myself to go into the studio and paint things, but it was all shit. Like it didn't say anything. It was just brush strokes. It was frustration. Like it wasn't working for me. And so I was like, I'm not that type of person like that can just like paint myself through a creative block.
Yeah.
I just have to kind of like be depressed and on the couch for however long it takes. And yeah, I rode that wave. And then finally, like, I feel like in the new year, I don't know what happened. Something happened where I was like, okay, it's done. Like you've learned what you needed to learn. Welcome.
You've absorbed all the information.
Yeah. And like from one day to the other, I think you can even tell like on my Instagram, like from like, it's like January 1st, it's like post, like all the time, like every day, because I just woke up. And I think like a big part of that was accepting that art for me, at least, needs to come from a place of wanting to do it, and not having to do it. Like not putting the pressure on myself of like, this is your career. You're an artist. You have to work 9 to 5 every day and paint, or else you're like a lazy, like stay-at-home wife, basically.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely correct. For me, I found a little bit of like a patchwork that works for me because I do rely so much on my sales too. And I mean, I know you do as well, but like for me, it's one of those things where I found, and maybe this is not healthy, but for me, it just works. And I think that's what it is. It's like, whatever the fuck works for you is what you do, right? So for me, it's like, I get so much of my worth. Like if I don't create for like 3 days straight, I will go into a depressive state and I will like not come out of it. And I'll have anxiety. And I also suffer from those, but in a different way. Like when I actually get out there and start painting, and then I create something that I'm really like, if it's crap, I will feel even worse. But if I get in there and I create something that makes me feel good, then it's like, all right, I'm back. And I kind of have that, whatever, that pizzazz that takes me to the next day. So it's weird. Like, it's just whatever works for you, that works. And I think it's great for people and all the artists out there to hear that there's no one size fits all approach, right?
Yeah. And definitely like seek the advice of your artistic community, like listen to artists, but like, that it doesn't mean you have to like do what they're saying. Like you said, like it's not one size fits all. Like,
yeah, it's listening and then it's finding your own path at the same time.
Yeah, I think just take away from all the stories from everybody, like that everyone's story is different. Like,
completely.
Okay. Yeah, like Preston's story sounds different from Christina, sounds different from Amy's. Like, so that means like I'm not crazy. Like I'm gonna paint for 6 months and then I'm gonna literally fall off the earth for 8 months, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna paint for 8 more months and then disappear for 3. And that's just how it's gonna work.
It definitely sounds like an incubation period. Like that sounds like that works for you. The question is like, I just had this question because I know as artists too, we go through different stages in our careers, like different seasons. And for me, for example, I went through a dark period for like 14 years. Like I was just a depressive, drinking all the time, painting dark stuff. And then that kind of went away and I became happier. And all of a sudden my colors started to become brighter and I started doing abstract stuff. And now that's what I love to do. And sometimes I'll dip back into it, but that's what I love to do now. And I've found personally, and I'm wondering for you, like that I can kind of dip back in and revisit some of that angst, like some of those stored up feelings that I had in the past. You know what I mean? Like some of those stored up, like horrible moments. I'm like, okay, if I need to go dark, I can just kind of tap into that and then go dark again. So my question to you is, what happens if like the angst dries up? You know what I mean? Is there do you see yourself being able to paint a different way or transitioning into something else?
I think so. And this was actually like one of the topics that was causing me a lot of anxiety.
Oh,
and
really?
I had a late night text. Sorry, Mary, with Mike again, my unofficial therapist.
Yeah.
I was like freaking out one night because I was like, oh my God, like, am I just the hot pink girl with the teddy bears? Like, is that it? like this is what everyone thinks about me. Is that all I can paint? Like, what happens if I want to paint with brown one day? Like,
right.
Did I paint myself into a hot pink corner already? You know?
At least a pretty corner.
Yeah. And I've just kind of learned, like, it doesn't fucking matter. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like,
you're right.
They're going to absorb what you put out there. So one day I might come out with a completely like brown and beige abstract. Yeah. And that's just it. Like, you got to paint for yourself and not for other people. And also what I've realized, like with my sales, like the pattern that I found is when I'm painting and I'm like, oh, let me paint something that I know people will want. Those are still in my storage unit. Like, no one's bought those.
Yep.
People buy the stuff that you just paint for yourself and that you like just
100%
threw up on the canvas.
Absolutely right. It's almost like that when that critic comes out and says, oh, you should do this, oh, you need to do this a little more. I know that's a dead painting, like right there. Like it's always when you're in that flow state and you're like, yes, this is it. This is it. You're like dancing in the studio. You're feeling it. Those are the ones that sell.
Yeah. And so that's to kind of answer your question. I like go off track too. Like,
no, that's good.
I think that's where my head's at with that question is like, it doesn't matter. I don't really care if I run out of that angst because something will come out and whatever that is, that's going to be what it is.
That is that's like the answer I wanted to hear because we do it. Like we have seasons as artists and sometimes that's like, you have the incubation period. Sometimes that's a sale season. Like I know once you start selling well, when that kind of dries up, those are moments too, where you start to get like, oh my God, am I not painting well? Is my art not good enough? You know what I mean? Like, and then you start getting so into that, like, oh, I gotta sell. But it's another way to bring yourself back to like, okay, I got to just get refocused on what I'm doing, why I do this in the first place, which is for me, for you, for all of us. That's why we should be creating art. It should always be for us first.
Yeah. And it's definitely, it's been a big learning curve, like just with myself as a person, because like it almost, when I was going through my big selling like period, it was like, it became like an addiction. Like, was like the dopamine hit. Like every time Mike would message me like, oh, ding, another one,
another sale. Yeah.
Another one. And like, if I didn't if I didn't see like Mike's name pop up on my phone, if I didn't say Mike Collins, I was like, like what's happening? Like, and I would like suffer like withdrawal symptoms, and then that would like just spearhead the whole like, oh, I'm a one-hit wonder. I suck. I'm not going to paint. And I had to kind of like learn how to cope with the success of being an artist too, because that will kill you. Like
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's lonely at the top, people, when you start selling well, people kind of like, I don't know, you get a little bit, you get some love, but you also get some haters and you get some like, oh, a lot of rationalization. Oh, well, she's just the girl who paints pink, whatever, teddy bears and stuff like that. They kind of reduce you to something that makes sense in their mind. It's like a shortcut to thinking, and then that can also be damaging. So it's like part of being an artist is living with the highs and understanding the lows and just kind of taking them in stride,
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, I see you selling and I see you going through that too. And I just feel excited for you when you sell. So you got a supporter in me, MUKA.
Yeah. And likewise, I get like so excited when I see your little red dot pose. I'm like, yes, another one. And I like, it's like a healthy competition, because every time I see you, I'm like, okay, my turn. Like,
I know when I started seeing you selling a lot, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, MUKA, I see you. No, that's great. I mean, it's because we all go through that. Like, I remember when I first started getting online, I would see this one person, this one artist, and I was like, he's just us. Yeah, we just reduce it. I was doing that. And when I started to learn to appreciate that and like see it as a rising tides lifts all boats, and like, oh, this is something that I can do. Like this, his success, and it's an example of what I could possibly do. Once I started seeing that and adopting that mindset, everything just kind of got better.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be fighting against each other,
Yeah. Just like stay in your lane.
Yes.
And you're going to be fine. Like anytime I try to get more derivative, or I try to do it like them, or I try to, like be someone I'm not at an art opening so I can engage different people. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah. 100%. I love it. I think you're in the right headspace. So that's good to hear. Social media, since we're kind of like on this topic. Mm-hmm. I saw you doing YouTube for a while. I don't know if you still are. I saw you doing TikTok. I know you're on Instagram. I think that's your main source, like just like me. But are you using that as a tool? Is it something fun? How do you use social media?
So it's definitely my marketing. I see it as like an extension of my job as an artist. No part of social media is like fun. It's a lot of work. And so I am like, Instagram is my main like social media platform. YouTube I try to do, but it's just, it's so difficult it's like you have to kind of pick a career, or like what you want to do as an artist. Like the type of artist I think that I want to be just doesn't have the bandwidth for a YouTube channel as well.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah. And like, I meant well with the YouTube. Like I meant it as like more of a, like, I felt like I got a lot of help to get to where I am as an artist. And so I wanted to kind of put that back. And so like the videos I do have up are kind of like how to, like intro to artists, what supplies to buy and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's too much. I can't keep up with it, at least like not without a team. I think maybe in the future, once I grow a little more and can afford a team.
Yes.
Maybe, but
I can kind of outsource some of that stuff.
Yeah, but trying to do it all yourself. I know there are people that do it, but I cannot.
But also because it takes away the people that are doing that. I like, you hear like the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world and stuff like that. Like he's always like bragging about, you got to be able to work 18-hour days. You got to work 18 hours. I'm like, I don't want to fucking work an 18-hour day. Like I work 8 to 12 hours, and I'm like, I leave everything out there on the field, and I like need some time with my wife. I need some time with my friends, some time to just chill out. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Cause you're going to burn out. You know what I mean? You will burn out, and we got to protect that energy that goes into our art too.
Yeah. So Instagram's basically like the main thing. I just started trying to do TikTok just because I've seen what it can do for people, and I'm like, let me just try. So I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall at this point with social media, but Instagram for sure.
So how long have you been doing TikTok?
A few months.
Okay.
It has. Yeah. And it's not like steady. Like, I don't think it's going to take me anywhere, because you have to be consistent. Again, like a lot of people knock influencers and content creators, but it's a job. Like,
it is a job.
I can't.
It's almost like being, head of marketing for yourself.
Yeah,
right?
It definitely is.
It's a job. But I have the bandwidth to do it to an extent, but I'm just like you. I want to hire somebody at some point.
Yeah. And like you're already doing way more than I ever could. Like with your podcast, I'm just like, God, like how does Preston, like,
it's hard.
Yeah.
But I love it too. That's the thing, like I love doing it, and that's what keeps me coming back. But hey, you got to do the editing, you got to do the marketing, you got to do all the polishing. Yeah. So it's tough. Yeah. But anyway, I love to see you trying stuff on these different platforms and TikTok and Instagram. I do have one important question. When you were going through your incubation period, were you paying attention to social media?
Kind of. Like okay. I would do a lot of like kind of disassociated scrolling.
That's the key word. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't really absorbing a lot. I think I definitely shouldn't be on social media when I'm going through those incubation periods because all it does is like lead me to compare myself.
Agreed.
And again, every artist has their season too. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone's successful all the time.
No.
Yeah.
Some people are like successful in the first year. Some people aren't successful for 40 years and then all of a sudden they take off. Or it's just like sporadic, right? But
yeah.
I was wondering because I know for me, when I'm in a depressive state, if I go on social media, it kills me. And I was just hoping you weren't going on there and like letting that get into your, into your psyche. So that's good. It sounds like you got a healthy approach to everything. Artsy has been very good to you. Did you have any technique, because this is an artist podcast for other artists too. Did you have any techniques that you used when you were getting your work on Artsy? Or was it just that people were just loving your shit and buying it?
I think I was like, again, like my background is kind of in like marketing, PR and things like that. So I definitely like understand like search engine optimization and things like that. And so I know enough to kind of understand how the algorithm of Artsy works. And so my approach was, you had to get at least like 2 pieces out a week.
Yes.
To get it posted onto Artsy. And I don't know how their platform is set up, but getting 2 pieces out a week onto the platform just really pushes you onto like their main page or their searches and stuff. Because when I stopped doing that, like when I went into my little hibernation period, I wasn't putting any work out. That's when my sales like just overnight stopped.
Yeah. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Did you say like 2 is like the sweet spot, or were you saying like 2 or more?
I think like 2 is definitely like kind of or at least it was. I haven't uploaded anything to Artsy in a while, so algorithms change all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what
and
it was.
And it could be different for a different artist too, right?
That too. Yeah. But that's just what worked for me. I don't know. It could have also been coincidence, like that my art was just kind of relevant to like kind of cathartic to the pandemic because it was so like snarky and people were frustrated and
I think people are still frustrated. So
even more now.
Yeah, right. So I think I don't think the theme of your work will go out of style. People like that style. So I think if you were able to get back into the flow of putting stuff up 2 times a week, it'll start going off the shelves again.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. Like after the solo show, I think I'm just going to really like focus on my brand and my content, because before, like I was really trying to establish myself in the art community. And so I was applying to a lot of calls and I was almost like making myself fit into the community, but I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I feel like that stage of trying to become an artist, I've kind of outgrown. And for so it's definitely like time for me to focus and hone like what MUKA means.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to see what comes out, starting with the solo show. I know you said you're doing kind of like medium to large pieces, right? I don't know if you want to give away too much information about the show, but
there'll be different price points. There'll be some bigger, higher price point things, but there'll definitely be like a good amount of attainable price points. So
good, like gateway drug price point ones.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to like have like some original pieces like right around like 200. I think because that's like people that want art but can't really get the $3,000+ pieces.
Yeah.
So yeah, there will be a lot of little price ranges.
Cool, that's great. So I'm gonna go to like a little bit of the rapid fire stuff if you don't mind. Okay. Do you have like a little time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you've listened to the podcast, you know some of these. So what would you say is your superpower? Maybe you've already answered this a little bit, but something that gets you like really creating. This could be something as easy as, well, I need the incubation period to process stuff, or whatever. Like you see a documentary that really gets your juices flowing, or you put on some music in the studio and that gets you going. Or is there something that you have that you do that's unique to you?
No, I'm still figuring that out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard for me on the Zoom calls, because everyone wants to hear about my art and how I got to it. I'm like, I'm so dissociated and like depressed. Like I have no idea. It just kind of happens. And so just like my depression just happens, I think my art just happens. Like,
I
yeah.
wonder if you could like do some sort of self-induced, like, I was telling you how I do these little things where I can revisit. I wonder if you like were to be able to put on a certain type of music from a certain era or whatever, or a song that gets you into that mindset, and it could like trigger a state where it gets you creative. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love that on button. I would love to find that.
Yeah, right. Seriously, I think we all would. Okay, well, that's cool. So that's fine. I love it. I love the honest answer. What about, this one I get pushed back on a lot. Biggest failures. I don't mean it in like, oh my God, you failed. I mean like something that you did that didn't work out, and you learned something from it, or it propelled you in a new direction.
I think, honestly, I feel like my biggest lesson I'm learning right now, and there is a collaborative aspect to my solo show, and it's going to be so dope. Like I'm so excited for the whole show, like
Nice.
just as a whole, and this collaborative part of it is really going to bring it together. But the thing that I learned about it is, I guess it's kind of a failure, but it's more of a lesson. I'm learning that I have to just take things as they are and not try to make them like, I don't know how to even explain this.
Like acceptance,
like
or a surrender type.
Like okay, so like just like in pure honesty, like this is my solo show. I feel like I should have kept it just my solo show and not had a collaborative piece to it. But I just I dream big, and I set all these huge expectations, and like I have this whole vision. And like in this solo show, I just needed help like executing the fine details of this. And what I've learned from this process is to kind of take it back a little bit, and not to say don't dream big and don't have aspirations and things, but just really just soak in the moments that are given to you for you, and don't get lost in the clouds, basically, because then you're just going to make it so stressful for yourself, and like you're going to bring on things that you're not particularly ready for moments that you're not ready for. And so I think that's what I'm learning now is like, maybe I should have kept this just my solo show and kind of honed it myself, as opposed to having a collaborative piece to it, and like giving away a little bit of that power to this collaboration. So,
well, we'll see. Is this part of the surprise too?
I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but it's all going to make sense at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll make sense.
Yeah, well, I like that. I mean, it's good to dream big, but it's also good to be practical, right? And to have that time, to have you time, to soak it up for yourself. I'm intrigued now. So you're doing a good job of intriguing us to go see the show. Okay, what about advice to young MUKA? Now, this doesn't even have to be art advice. This could be life advice, something that you've learned in your travels and in your growth as an artist, as a human being. What would you impart on your younger self?
On my younger, like 2019 MUKA when I started?
Or any age. Like this could be MUKA age 4, age 8, age 16, whatever.
I would say, I think I would want to talk to like 2019 freshly moved to LA MUKA. Okay. And it would be, don't get carried away by what people say. This is speaking to like LA people, LA artists. Yes. There's going to be a lot of people that name drop and gallery drop and say all these things, and you're going to get caught up in that. Don't. Stay humble, stay focused, and don't pay attention. It's all noise.
It's all noise.
Yeah.
I love that answer.
Yeah, you're going to get yourself into some pickles if you get carried away with all of that.
For sure. And you're right, especially in LA. And some people use it almost as like psychological warfare. You know what I mean? Like they'll sometimes drop something like, oh, you did, well, I've done this. Did you know that I did this gallery with such and such? And I've done this. So and you're like, oh shit, like I'm not doing anything. And a lot of it is just noise. People like to just make up shit. And even if it is true, who cares? Right.
Yeah.
I love that answer.
Thanks.
Sorry, did I cut you off? Did you?
No. I'm thinking back to the moment that I learned that, and it's just like such a cringe moment. I'm just like, oh my God, I wish like I didn't know. I didn't know how LA functioned and how people are here. Not all people, but there are those people.
Definitely.
So.
Well, look, it's an important thing for us to all learn in the art world, right?
Yeah.
Especially in LA. It's like a survival thing. Okay, so we're going to move on to, we'll keep it simple. This will be the last one before we ask if you have anything you want to say. But where do you see MUKA's art in 5 years? Or where do you want to see it?
I would love, like we kind of touched on it earlier, like I want to start kind of collaborating with brands.
Yeah.
And like kind of making like luxury more relatable to like millennials and Gen X and just, like the normal people. I feel like it's so like high fashion and things like that. But like I would love like a Chanel bag that said fuck it on it or something, So like I don't know if that will ever happen, but I would love to see that happen.
I think you could do it.
Yeah.
100%. Like it's just about connecting the dots. And it's there. You're there. You have the right aesthetic with your work and the right mindset. So I love it. I hope that happens for you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, where can people find you online?
Online on all platforms. It's at Art by MUKA, same as my website, www.artbymuka.com.
Awesome. I love your website, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just got a little facelift.
Oh, yeah. It's cool. I love how you have the kind of preview for the show. A little like teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm not going to explain it. You have to go check it out.
Go check it out.
Artbymuka.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And is there anything that you want to say, plug, talk about at the end? Like, you feel like we didn't cover something, or do you feel pretty good about where we are?
No, I feel pretty good about where we are. Just like I wanted to say thank you for having me. I felt like, oh my God, it was such a little like cloud moment when you just like pulled me aside and were like, do you want to be on my podcast? And I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Like I've made it.
You made it. That's right.
I've made it. I'm on the podcast.
Oh, I love that. That's such a cool story. I love that. Well, I think it was one of those things where I've always wanted to have you on the podcast, and I was waiting for the perfect moment. And I was like, this is the perfect moment. I just knew right in the moment. And I was like, here's MUKA. She's standing at the gallery. She's talking to people. She's smoozing with some people. She curated the show. I'm going to pull her aside and ask her. And, there's a part of me that was like thinking you were going to go, no, I don't want to do the podcast.
Oh my God. No, your podcast is actually like the key of what got me to apply to ShockBoxx. You did that podcast with Mike. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I feel like this podcast was about Mike. I keep talking about it, but
no. Mike's got his fingers in all the pies,
Yeah, I listened to that podcast with you and him, and it really just kind of like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fit here. And so ever since then, I was like, oh my God, like one day I'm gonna be on Preston's podcast too, and someone's gonna listen to me, and they're gonna apply. And
hell yeah, and you're gonna inspire other people.
Yeah,
I love it. It's like a full circle moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a full circle moment. So thank you.
Cool. Way to end on like a super fun high note.
Yeah.
So check out MUKA's work. Check out her solo show, April 2nd. Sugar Coated is the name. And it is, it'll be like 6 to 9, right?
Yeah, 6 to 9. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been awesome to have you on.
Awesome. Thank you,
Stick
Preston.
around for a second because I want to ask you a couple things off mic. But thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.